Becky requested the recording. Okay, welcome everyone to Interfaith Explorations, and today's topic is dreams. Before we start the class, a couple of quick reminders. So remember to keep your mic muted so we do not hear the background noises. For most of you, I can see your names. For a couple of you, I cannot see your names. It says subscribers iPad. And if you go to the bottom of the screen and click on the participants, you are always able to change your name. So that way the teachers know who are in the room and they can speak to you taking your name. And Dr. J. McDaniel, if you're missing him, I just want you to know he's still in the class. He's listening to you all. I was just speaking with him, but today he's just listening and he will participate if he needs to, but not facilitating. So today's class, we have a slightly different structure. Of course, the topic is dreams, one of my favorite topics, and one of my favorite guests is here to speak to us. You all know Susan, and Susan is a master teacher. In Sufis, we call people who are teachers of the teachers, we call them master teachers. So I've changed the structure of the class a little bit. I'm going to start by speaking about dreams from an Islamic and Muslim perspective. I'll take 5-7 minutes and then we'll hand over it to Susan, who's going to be talking about dreams from Christian and secular perspective, and she'll take a longer time. And then she will also invite you all to share your own dreams and maybe help you with the interpretation a little bit. So coming back to our topic, we are going to be talking about myriads of ways that dreams speak to the condition of human soul. That could be unveiling wisdom from divine sources, that could be guiding us through our daily lives, or helping us understand our own thoughts and desires or old memories from our own subconscious. So I'm going to be starting with how Muslims look at dreams and how we interpret dreams. Now, I'm not a dream teacher. I'm only a dreamer, but dreams are really, really important for me in my own spiritual journey. And last time you all heard a little bit about my spiritual journey, that I'm a Sufi. And although dreams are important to all the Muslims, doesn't matter what denomination are they in, Sunnis, Shias, Salafis, but Sufis specifically put a lot more emphasis because they are focused more on mystical and spiritual. So they put more emphasis on listening to their dreams. But going back to Muslim theology or Islamic theology, we are told in our scripture that there are 3 different kinds of dreams that we can experience. And they're called nafsani dreams, shaitani dreams, and rahmani dreams. So the first category of dreams is nafsani dreams. These are the dreams which are dreams for our own self. They come from within. They could be representative of our wishes, our worries, our unconscious, our subconscious thoughts. It's pretty similar to how Freud talked about dreams. Now, the second category of dreams is shaitani dreams. And in everyday word, we can call them bad dreams. These are the dreams which are induced into our conscious by spirits who are trying to mess with us, or shaitan, or Satan, or devil. So that's the second category of dreams in our theology, in Muslim theology. Now, the third kind of dreams, which I'm super excited about and which I put a lot of emphasis on and that I hear too, are called Rahmani dreams. Now, Rahman is one of the names of God, divine God. So Rahmani dreams basically means either true dreams or divinely inspired dreams. So these are the dreams that we listen to get moral guidance, to get glimpses of the future, to get wisdom from God, to get commands from God, or to communicate with our teachers, our Sufi masters, or to communicate with the dead people who have passed, but they want to pass messages to us. There is a very strong tradition in Muslim cultures and Muslim history to listen to these dreams, the true dreams, the divinely inspired Rahmani dreams. So if I go back to our scripture, Quran, holy book, we will see that Prophet Ibrahim had a dream in which he was told by God to sacrifice his beloved son. And the first night he did not pay attention. He thought maybe it's evil spirits messing with him. But second night he saw the same dream again. And he talked to his son, and then they went, and then they understood that it is a command from God. And both father and son went to the process of sacrifice, which Muslims still celebrate to this day. And it's one of the major holidays that we sacrifice a goat in memory of Prophet Abraham's sacrifice of his son. So dreams could be an order or a direct command from God. Now, another kind of dream which we see in our scripture are the dreams in which God gives us glad tidings. Like we look at Prophet Joseph's dream. And in his dream, he saw there was a sun and a moon and 11 stars who were all bowing down to him. And he spoke of that dream to his father, and his father, prophet, who was also a prophet, told him that it's glad tidings from God that you will be picked as a prophet and you will receive revelations. Coming further to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his dreams when he came, they were forms of, actually revelations came to him in forms of dream in the early days of his ministry. And even during his ministry, every morning when he would go to the mosque and lead the prayers, right after the prayers, he would sit with his companions and ask them about his dreams and teach them how to interpret them, because to him they were source of illumination and spiritual guidance. So that's how Rahmani or divinely guided dreams have been transferred from prophets to us. And to this day, we believe in their continued vitality and relevance in our lives. There is a prayer actually, which is taught to us by a prophet. It's called istikhara. And it's a very short Arabic prayer, which we are advised to engage in when we need guidance from God in our daily affairs or to make important decisions in life and we don't know how to proceed. So we do that small prayer, and then we go to sleep while engaged in meditation upon the decision that we're seeking guidance on. And then we wake to hear or get that guidance in our dreams. So back in my culture where I come from, a lot of people, they do not get married unless they do istikhara first. Like for example, my family, all the marriage decisions for myself, for my brothers, they were made after my mother did this prayer for us, istikhara prayer for us. And after she heard in her dream that this union between these two individuals is blessed by God, then we would finalize that commitment. In fact, my brother and my mom and her sister, they wanted my brother to get married to this wonderful girl who's my aunt's daughter. And my mom actually did this istikhara prayer. And the istikhara prayer she saw after she asked God whether this union of my brother will be a blessed one, she saw a broken household with broken utensils and children crying in her dream, which was a sign that it's not a good decision. But she was so adamant. She really, really liked this girl for my brother. And it's a process of arranged marriage, that she did istikhara, the prayer again the next night, and the next night, and the next night. And my mother continued doing that prayer for 28 nights because she really liked that girl, but she never heard positive answer from God in her dreams. And eventually she gave up. She submitted and she said, okay, I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to pursue this further. But this is a short example to tell you that dreams are really, really important when we are trying to seek guidance from God. But how to interpret them is really tricky because it depends on the time of the dream when you have seen the dream. It depends on the content of the dream, what exactly you see in the dream. It also depends on the spiritual state of the dreamer. So for example, I might see a dream and my brother might see the same thing in the dream, but we both will have two very, very different interpretations. Once there was a woman who saw a dream. She was a rich woman, a head of a tribe, and she wanted to know the interpretation of their dream. So she told her slave girl to go to the prophet and ask him what does it mean, but do not tell him that who saw their dream. So the girl goes to the prophet and tells her the dream. And prophet listens to the dream, and then he looks at the slave girl and says, "This is not your dream. You couldn't have dreamed that. Send me the dreamer, and then I will send you the interpretation." So the dream interpretation is an art and also is a science. It's complicated. It depends on many things. I do not know how to interpret dreams, but they remain really important. And some of them are very, very clear to us when they come, but others are not. So we go to our teachers to ask for their interpretations. And one last thing which I'll say before I hand it over to my friend is that dream interpretation is also to some extent divinely inspired in our theology for Muslims. The very act of interpretation could be divinely inspired. It could be a gift from God. There's a very famous dream interpreter in Egypt. His name is Nabil. He's not alive anymore. He died back in 2010. So Sheikh Nabil talked about his own skill as a dream interpreter. And he said, yes, it takes a lot of skill and experience and wisdom, but also guidance from God. And then he told us that once in his own dream, Prophet Yusuf, Prophet Joseph appeared to him. And Prophet Joseph is famous for being the best dream teacher. And in the dream of Sheikh Nabil, who was a famous dream interpreter in Egypt, now dead, he saw Prophet Joseph, who gave Nabil a cup of milk to drink. And then he pointed towards milk and said, "This is dream interpretation." Then Sheikh Nabil drank that milk in his dream, and he woke up, and he says that from then on, he knew how to read and understand dreams, and he became a famous dream teacher in Egypt for decades. So that's a short overview of dreams from Muslim culture and theology. And with that, I'm going to move on to Susan. Susan will have 15 minutes to talk about dreams and teach us about dreams. And after that, we'll move towards a discussion in which you all can share your dreams with Susan. So before we go to Susan, I want to tell you a little bit. I know you all know Reverend Susan Sims Smith. She's my dear, dear friend. She is my spiritual soul sister. Susan has been a Jungian-oriented psychotherapist for 25 years. And then she has been an Episcopal priest since 1999, almost 20 years now. Dreams and meditations are two ways, or her deepest ways, to connect to divine. You all know her for her interfaith work, for founding the Interfaith Center. But what you might not know is that she is a teacher. She started this organization, actually a project called Seed Work, in which she taught people how to listen to the wisdom from their dreams. She has started 28 different dream groups in 28 different churches of Arkansas. And Susan and I, we do a lot of spiritual work together, along with the interfaith work, if I can keep them separated, which I don't know how to. We both have learned how to deepen our own spiritual journeys while learning from each other about their religious traditions. So with that, I invite Susan to come and speak about your own journey and teach us about dreams.
Well, I'm happy to be with you all. And when Sophia says she's not a dream teacher, you can tell that what that means is that she's so busy doing so many other things that she just hasn't been teaching all the time about dreams. But it's a gift to hear her talk about it, and it expands our consciousness. So I'll just mention a couple of dreams from Christian scripture. These will be familiar to most of you and not to others. But you know, in the first and second chapter of Matthew, there are two key dreams related to Jesus' birth and then also his safety. The first one is, so Mary and Joseph were engaged, and she gets pregnant, and Joseph gets scared about it, and an angel comes to him in a dream and says, "Look, this is a holy thing. It's okay for you to take her as your wife. You know, don't discard her." Okay, so there's that dream. And then you remember the story, most of you will remember in the next chapter, Herod, who was violent and paranoid, was the king, and wise men came from the east, and they were going to look for the baby. And Herod said, as soon as you find him, come back and tell me where he is, because Herod was going to go kill him. So the scripture's filled with dreams. A lot of them are about guidance, but some of them are other things too. Now I'm going to shift from, I'll say one other thing about Christianity and dreams. A group of men and then later women about 30 years ago created kind of a renewal of interest in dreams for Christians and other people of other faith. So John Sanford and Joyce Rockwood Hudson and okay, I'll think of the other man's name in a second, but a group of people started writing about how the ordinary person on the street could decode their dreams. So I have a website, it's just under my name, Susan Sims Smith, and there's one section there on dreams, and it has the book list of these people that started this big renewal. It has symbol books, and there are like 56 lectures, podcast kind of things up there about dreams and how to decode them. There's more information than you will want. But if you want to know more, that website is there. And the audio lectures are from a summer dream conference at a place called Canuga. So anyway, enough. Oh yeah, Morton Kelsey. But there's one more, Morton Kelsey, John Seven. Okay, so somebody just reminded me that Morton Kelsey was the person, but there's one other man. I can see his face. Think of his name. Yes, Robert Johnson. That's okay. Morton Kelsey, Robert Johnson, John Sanford, Joyce Rockwood Hudson, and other people. So there was a big renewal going on with dreams. And that information is relevant and can be transferable to people of all different faiths. So another thing that I think is helpful at looking at dreams is sometimes there's a dream that's just a debris of the day dream. So I have a dream that my car is breaking down. So it's possible that in the daytime that I heard a little kind of weird clankety clank thing in my car, and I'm busy and I don't want to slow down. I don't want to pay any attention to it. And I'm picking up a little content and it shows up in the dream. In addition to picking up content about a break in the car, a car can also be symbolic of how you get around in your life, the rules that you've made, your ego, your body. So a car can be a symbol of many different things, and both dreams could be true at once. So if I have a dream that my car is breaking, it could be that I picked up data that I didn't want to attend to, and it could also be that something's going on in the physical body, and those dreams could both be true at the same time. So a dream can carry multiple levels of meaning, and most of them do, and many of them do. So to understand dreams, in my opinion, about 80% of the dreams have to do with the inner selves that are in the psyche. And you can find all kinds of fabulous books about the inner self system. Some of them are listed on my website. Chelsea Wakefield also has one that is newer. Hal and Sidra Stone did this work. But the work of the psychology of the selves started many, many jillions of years ago, but it's been more developed in recent years. So most of you are already familiar with this, but just kind of the Cliff Notes, since I only have 15 minutes to talk, the Cliff Note version is we are made up of many different selves. And there is one self that is the conscious, aware ego, that is the decision maker in the psyche, that is constantly trying to listen to all of the selves. So what happens in the dreams is that if you get out of balance and you reject one of your inner selves, you will have a dream where that self will come back. If you are overly in love with one of yourselves, and that's destructive to you and everybody else, you will have a dream about that a particular part of you has become a queen and she's being waited on too much and other parts are starving to death. So the dreams are telling you about the existing selves that you already know about in your own personality. Which ones have you repressed and rejected? Which ones have you overly favored? So there's a constant kind of rebalancing going on, not to forget yourself. So here's a short example. So one time when I was too busy, I had a dream that I tried to open my meditation journal and I touched the pages of it and it morphed into a calendar, and it had anthrax on it. So I was touching a calendar and getting poison. The short version of that dream is not enough time to meditate, too much junk going on in the calendar, and if you keep touching the calendar and not your prayer journal, you're going to die. Your spirit's going to die. So the dreams are always working on balance. In addition to balancing the selves that we already know about, there are new selves being born in us all the time, because we have so much more potential than we can even be aware of. And you can have a dream where an entirely new energy is coming into you that you didn't know about. So I'm going to give you a quick example of that. So, and I'm going to say a little bit about Carl Jung on this. So, you know, Freud talked about dreams related to what we would just call the unconscious. What is in the unconscious that you're not aware of? Maybe it's something you are aware of, but you don't like it, so you've rejected it. Maybe it's something you're aware of, but you're so busy you kind of forget about it. Or maybe it's something you don't want to know is inside you, so it's just pushed away. So one level of the dreaming is what we would call conscious and unconscious. Carl Jung both discovered, although it has been written about in history for jillions of years, but Carl Jung really developed the concept that there is a collective unconscious. And in that collective unconscious are archetypal energies that carry huge power that we have never heard of before and never known about. And part of the real fun thing about both the spiritual journey and the dream journey is that these massive archetypal energies belong to us, and occasionally we have access to them. So I'll give a quick example. When I was a new priest, I was practicing at home how to celebrate the Eucharist, when to raise the chalice, when to cross, when to do this, when to do that, when to the other. Nobody was at home, and I had windows in front of me. I could see my reflection, and I practiced it and I practiced it and I practiced it until eventually I could pray the prayer while feeling the love of the divine inside me, and not just this little rigid, like automaton trying, as a new priest, trying to learn the ropes. Eventually I could channel the energy that I was there as a priest to do. So this was my dream that night. I had a dream that a woman is searching everywhere for a black onyx. And she's looking and looking, and she finds it. Now I woke up, I don't own a black onyx. Nobody in my family does. I've never aspired to one. But if you look in a fabulous dream symbol book, and those, I have those listed on that website, black onyx is a symbol for making a direct connection with divine energy. So when Jung says archetype, archetypal images, nobody in the Methodist Church in Marktree, Arkansas, where I grew up, taught me that black onyx meant God's energy. That is stored in the universal collective library that is in each of our souls. And sometimes that material comes out in dreams and is like way fun. So one of the exciting things about dreams is you're working on your everyday selves, trying to keep that in balance. That is like a full-time job for most of us. And then occasionally there's this other level of dream material that is really, really rich. And Carl Jung wrote about the collective unconscious in beautiful, beautiful, very powerful ways. So I want to tell you a little bit about some dreams that are more just straight out spiritual dreams. So some of you know that a really close friend of mine died about 1.5 years ago. And as I was walking with her through the death process, I spent a lot of nights at her house. And with my blessing, she would awaken me in the night to tell me dreams that she was dreaming. And I wrote them down, and there's a little booklet written about it. And it is also on that website if you're interested in reading it. So one night she awakened me and she said, I hate to wake you up at 2 a.m, but you have to hear this. And I said, go. And I'm with my pad, I'm writing it down. she said, there are people that live on the earth that are dressed up in costumes as if they were human, but they are totally not human. They're angels. And they have jobs in the daytime, and they fake people out, you know, like this one cleans, and this one drives a bus, and this one's a teacher. But what they really do is they help souls get out of their body. It's not as easy for the soul at the time of death. It's not as easy for the soul to get out of the body as you would think. And she said, they have entered my home tonight, and they don't get to have fellowship very often, and they're having fellowship. And then the ones that are assigned to help me get out of my body are going to stay and hang out, and it's going to take them a few nights. And the other ones are going to go to help the people they're trying to help get out of their bodies. So then that was that dream that night. I wrote all that down. The next night, my friend Marguerite woke me up and said, "Oh my Lord, Susan," she said, "there's a big white orb. It's like a bus, except it's an oval shape of light. And these beings that are helping the soul get out of the body, they're going to be 15 of them in my group." She said, "You exit in a group, and we're going to be taken into this white orb." And she said, "I just cannot wait to see what a soul looks like when it's out of its body." So dreams guide us, they correct us, they inform us, they transform us, they excite us, they fill us with joy. If we're off track, they scare us to death. If you have a nightmare, often it's usually because you're going against your own soul. So let's see, how am I doing on time, Sophia? You tell me when you want me, like 2 or 3 more minutes, or what's good?
You're doing great. Take 5 minutes. You're doing great
Okay.
because you're the only teacher after me. So go ahead, 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'll tell you 2 more rounds of dreams in my own life. So I was a private practice psychotherapist with this gorgeous office and fabulous clients and a good waiting list, and people paid me well, and I didn't have a boss, and I loved it, and I was good at it, and I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I never ever imagined doing anything else. And I began to dream at night. It took me 2 years to reconcile this, that the divine was calling me to be ordained to be an Episcopal priest. And I didn't like it. I didn't want it. I didn't want low pay, a male boss, a crummy office, long hours, and not very much vacation. And I would say to my husband, "I think I'm going to have to go to seminary." And he would say, "I hope not. I just hope not." But eventually the dreams became so clear that I would have had to have an IQ of 17 not to understand that I was absolutely being reassigned. One of my clients with whom I had such a deep connection finally showed up in one of my dreams, and she said, you're leaving your office, you just don't know it yet." Another night, teenagers came and told me they were going to run me out of my office. A week or 2 later, when I still didn't surrender, guys with machine guns came in and said, "We're going to get you out of here." So I was really attached to the old and not interested in surrendering to the new. But the dreams about the priesthood were very positive. They were very gorgeous. The last dream that I had, I was working with a famous dream analyst in Canada, and I had this dream while I was working with her for a week. In the dream, somebody said to me, "You have 3 choices. You can stay home and be a doctor's wife. And the next choice is you can take this traveling trunk, like a steamer trunk, and just have fun traveling the world. Or," and then I was given a sterling silver little plate, "you can take this paten and serve the bread of Christ and teach people about God's love." And in the dream, I say, "I'll take that paten." And I woke up the next morning and I realized the jig's up. You know, I'm going to leave my office. I'm going to have crummy pay, a male boss, long hours. But anyway, it's turned into a lovely, rich, incredible opportunity in my life of things that have happened by becoming a priest. So we won't go through all that because it's not relevant and not necessary. So the call to the priesthood for me, almost 100%, came through a long series of dreams. So one other thing more recently related to dreams. So about 10 years ago, so sometimes, a lot of the time, I'm going to repeat, a lot of the time, dreams are about balancing and living everyday life, because that is extremely difficult to do. There is nobody on the planet that is a conscious or attempting to be conscious being that can tell you that everyday life is easy. If they do, they're clueless. Leave them alone. God bless them. If they're able to live an unconscious life, go for it. Don't mess with them. But for most of us that are trying to live a spiritual life, that's really, everyday life has a lot of challenges. So about 80% of the dreams are that, but the other 20% are these last ones that I'm telling you about. So about 10 years ago, I began to dream at night the word Pondicherry, and I dreamt it over and over and over. I'd never heard of it. Eventually I found it's a town in India. Eventually I found that there's an ashram there. And to make a very long story very short, I became a student of Sri Aurobindo and his female partner, the mother. And that has completely changed my Christianity and changed my faith. And I was sent to a specific town, to a specific spiritual teacher who was already dead, by a series of dreams. 6 months later, I dreamt the word Mysore ashram. And I did know that that was a town in India. And I was sent to a living spiritual teacher who is now my spiritual teacher. These two that are dead, one that is alive, all that happened through dreams. And I've now made 18 trips to India in the last 10 years to try to learn a whole new way to live. So that's enough. We have 25 minutes left. It's a wonderful topic, and Sophia and I are going to teach more on this. No, Sunday we're teaching about silence. Okay, I better be silent. All right, so go ahead, Sophia.
It's okay. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for such a enriching talk on dreams. So before we move towards you all sharing a dream, is there any clarifying question based on what you heard from me or from Susan that you have? Something about what I said or what Susan said?
Well, I'm wondering, Sophia, this is for Susan. These cities that she's dreamt, or these people in India that she's dreamt about, had she read something about them? Were these things that just came out of the clear blue sky, or how is this inspired? I'm wondering.
Go ahead, Susan.
The background.
I had never heard of Pondicherry. I'd never heard of Sri Aurobindo or the mother, and I'd never heard of the guru in Mysore. So what's happening for all of us when we dream, there's a great little quote about dreams, and it says, most of the stuff that I hear in my dreams is true because I don't have the presence of mind to make up lies while I sleep. So a lot of our daytime perception is we have all these ideas and all these beliefs, and some of them are true and some of them are not true, and they get in the way of seeing this deeper, deeper, deeper material. So when you're sleeping, you are not in control, and information about daily life that you really need will pursue you, and also information about the wider cosmos. Your soul is traveling while you're sleeping to other levels and other realities, and some people call it the Akashic records, or the place in the cosmos where all the juice is stored, all the creative data. You are not limited to your body, your town, your culture, your religion, and there's this vastness that takes you wherever the soul needs to go and is ready to go. You will be taken there by divine love. Yay.
Yeah. Well, the Pondicherry dream is amazing to me always, because I think that changed Susan's life and that was totally out of the blue. But we also believe in Islam that, dreams is the time when your soul is traveling into the world, into the universe where you cannot travel otherwise. And like I spoke about Rahmani dreams, so definitely divinely inspired dreams.
And corrects us by dreams, sometimes in very painful, harsh ways. It's not all fun.
Is there any other clarifying question about dreams based on what you heard?
I don't know if, um, let me go back. I have a hard time remembering what I've dreamed about, or the one or two times that I did have a dream, it was so horrific that I never got it out of my conscience. And I can still go back and remember that. But these little, I know I was dreaming, but I can't remember it. And I get up, walk down the hall, get some coffee, come back, and I'm going, what was I dreaming? So I I'm not real sure what's going on with that.
So
Sometimes sometimes it's scary.
sometimes it's scary. So let me respond to it. First of all, dreams are not everybody's cup of tea, and they're not like the one true apostolic, the best, the most cool, everybody has to do it. It's not that kind of reality. And then if you think you might want to know more of it, the first thing is a nightmare is, as I mentioned early, a nightmare is usually that we have gone against ourselves in some way in the daytime. And it doesn't have to be anything huge. Like my nightmare about the anthrax, that was a really, really, really scary dream because it was the time when anthrax was going around and being shipped to people. I woke up terrified, and all I had to do was rebalance how much I was working. It wasn't like I was out murdering people on the street and I'd forgotten who I killed that day. It wasn't that bad, but it was designed to upset me so that I would pay attention. So the nightmares are hard to figure out in the beginning by yourself. And that's why it's wonderful to have a therapist or a spiritual director or a friend or a dream group, so that the scary dreams have such good information, you don't want to miss them. And once you get the information, you just calm down quickly because it's usually not that terrible. It's important, but it's not as terrible as we think it is. It's created in the dream to look terrible so to get our attention. So to increase dream recall, there are three things that help the most. One is to put a tablet by your bed and right before you go to sleep, say, I would like to remember my dream. The second is to jot it down the second you wake up. Don't wait until you've gone to the bathroom or had a cup of coffee, or just turn on a light and jot it down. The third is the part where the work comes in. Once you develop enough skill to decode a dream to help you understand your own soul, the dream recall escalates. So you can develop those skills by reading, by a therapist, by a spiritual director, by being in a group. Even if you just get beginning, like baby skills, it's like the divine goes, all right, she's listening through dreams. Let's talk. So the dream recall goes up when the dreams start making daily life work better.
Thank you.
And then one thing that worked for me was I had the same problem. I could not remember my dreams. And like I explained in my presentation, they're very important for me. So I learned from Susan that why don't you start writing your dreams, recording them? And I couldn't put a notebook by my bed. So I started using my phone actually. So it's been years now, at least 3-4 years. I put my phone right next to my pillow. And when I get up, and if I've seen a dream which has impacted me deeply, the first thing I do is I voice record it. I just say it as I remember it. And that's within a minute of me waking up. Because I've noticed with myself, within the first 3 minutes of waking up, I have lost half of my dream. And after 10 minutes, I don't remember 90% of it. So I generally voice record my dreams as soon as I get up.
Mhm.
And that has helped me a lot.
All right. Thank you.
So if there are no more clarifying questions, we still have 15 minutes. I invited you all to bring a dream with you if you choose to, and share it with Susan and see how she helps interprets us or teaches us about it. So I think it's time to move towards that.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Sophia, I can't believe you've invited people to bring dreams, and you think I'm going to do this in 15 minutes. So we're going to either watch me make up some stuff which I don't plan to do, or maybe we'll get one or two of them done. But anyway, I just want a little bit more quiet before we tag a dream. Are there any other questions or observations or feelings? I just want to hold the silence just a little bit longer.
Yes, Terry, go ahead.
I think I'm just curious. I know that certain medications cause dreams or are more likely to promote dreams, especially nightmares. Do you think that those are still spiritually significant, even if they're triggered by medication?
You know, I don't know the answer to that, honestly. What I would do if they were my dreams is I would try working with them using the processes that I use, and I would see what happened. Because, you know, one theory is even if the medicine is making them worse or different, one theory is it's still borrowing material that is inside you. The material comes from somewhere. So it's worth working with them. But if they're very disturbing and seem just totally bizarro and so out of whack, you know, that's a little different biology of the brain. So I don't think we know the answer for sure. I think if they are within the realm of being able to work with them, go ahead. And this is something I meant to say anyway, and I can't remember which one of the famous dream writers said this, but no, I actually think this was Carl Jung. The only true interpretation of a dream is one that wins the assent of the dreamer. So I know in Sophia's world and in many other people's world, there are people that you can go to that can tell you the meaning of your dream. In my world, there are people that you can go to that can help you work through and figure out your dream, but there isn't any one person you can go to that tells you what it means. So for me, if somebody's on medicine and they work the processes of dream work, if it resonates with their heart and their soul and their body, and it wins their assent, even if it came from medicine, then you could say, my body is telling me that is useful information. Did I answer your question, Terry? Okay. And if you check with your body and your heart and your soul and all of your being says, that doesn't make any sense to me, either the medicine messed up your brain or temporarily, or it's information you are not ready to hear yet. Sometimes we can't figure out a dream, and it's not because it's not relevant. It's that it's too unconscious or too scary or too painful. So the interpretation will not be able to happen yet. Okay, if we're going to tackle a dream, let's do it.
I think we have time only for one dream because I have one more question from Susan. So is there any one of you who would like to share a dream? Okay, Priscilla is, or
Do you
Chelsea.
need a volunteer?
Go ahead,
Hi,
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Hi. I mean, if nobody else wants to share, I'll jump in.
Do it.
Okay. I loved this little dream. In the dream, I'm spending a little bit of time with my first husband of the very short marriage, 3 years, when I was in my 20s. And one of the things that we're up to is we're recovering these very old pillows that come from my mother's couch. And I think to myself, these have already been recovered and the stuffing is very old, and I think we should start fresh with brand new pillows and not recover the recovered pillows off of my mother's couch. So I'll just give you that little snippet.
So Chelsea is a really incredible psychotherapist and an author, and she's written all kinds of stuff about dreams, and she does lots of teaching about dreams. So be sure and check out her website and her information on that. So what I want to do now is the person that's going to offer some help to Chelsea. Oftentimes I ask to hear the dream one more time. So I'm going to ask her to tell it again. And as you listen to the dream, listen with the idea that every part of the dream might be a part of Chelsea, and that the dream is usually about the movement of energy in the soul of the person. So we're going to be wondering, how is the energy in Chelsea's soul moving? And it is moving away from some things and towards some other things. So let's just start with listening to the dream again.
So in this dream, I'm involved with my first husband that I was married to for 3 years in my 20s. We divorced when I was 29. And we are actually off to have a luncheon someplace, but we're having a conversation about these pillows and recovering a set of pillows that actually came from my mother's couch when I was a child. And they were recovered once and went into her house that she lived in until she passed away. And now I have these pillows, and we are in this process of discussing whether we should recover the pillows. And I am convinced that the stuffing is just too old, that we need to start fresh with fresh pillows rather than recovering these pillows for the third time.
So now what we're going to do is I'm going to cheat because we only have 8 minutes. And we're going to do the Cliff Notes version of how to unpack a dream. So the energy is starting in one place at the beginning of the dream, and then it's ending in another place, or it's moving to another place. So Chelsea, why don't you tell us your association to the masculine energy of the first husband?
His energy, he was very immature, but very charming, very handsome. And we had a lot of difficulty in our marriage. There was a lot of infidelity on his part, and it was very painful. But there was a kind of a young energy to it, idealized. And I'd have to look at why he's been appearing in my dreams recently, but there's something about circling back into something in my 20s that is important. That's my initial, something that looks handsome, but maybe perhaps is a little toxic.
So what we would say is that every part of the dream is a part of Chelsea, and the masculine side of the woman is always being transformed, and the feminine side of the woman is always being transformed. And as they each get transformed, they make a new relationship as we grow. So in the dream, the old masculine that looked good and was charming, but had some things in it that were not so healthy and maybe not so loyal to the soul of Chelsea, that masculine has a marriage to a feminine part of Chelsea. They have a union. And now what's happening is that things that are old, that old masculine is saying, let's just freshen it up and make a nice presentation so that the outside, the fabric on the outside, looks gorgeous. And the feminine, the Chelsea energy, is saying, I'm not feeling so great about that because the stuffing is old. So Chelsea, if I'm from Mars, the stuffing in a pillow serves what function?
It's sort of the substance of the pillow. I mean, the covering is important, but it's sort of like the core. And yes, it's the substance of the pillow.
So the substance of what's being offered is old. Now, if we had a lot of time, I'll tell you where we would go with this. we would go back and get Chelsea to do the associations to her mom. So she had a biological mom, and she has some of that mom inside her. And she would find pluses about her biological mom and minuses, as we all do. And she would find pluses about the mother inside her, and she would find minuses. So we're not going to have time to do that work, but that would be a piece of work that would be helpful to Chelsea, because Chelsea's soul has chosen her mother's sofa as the particular energetic field for this transformation. So it's not just any old pillows. It's not like Chelsea's staying in a room at the Holiday Inn and she's thinking of the Holiday Inn's pillows, or it's not like she's staying at her friend's house and it's her friend's pillow, or it's not the house she lives in now. So one thing that will be really fascinating is, what is the energy of her mom? And you can't just prefab this stuff, because her mom has positive qualities and negative qualities. And so what you would do is you would go around and say, tell us more about your mom. What were her contributions that were lovely? What were her challenges? And that would help set the context for the sofa. That would give you more information. So what's happening is that there's data, literal information in the unconscious. And the images from the dream are pulling this into the consciousness. So what the soul is saying, the soul is looking at beautiful Chelsea as a human on planet Earth right now, saying, okay, I'm your soul, and I would like to have a conversation with you. And we're going to have this conversation through your dreams. And I want to tell you that that old masculine of looking good but being toxic is, you're transforming. That's gone. And that the feminine is the leader right now. And yes, all of us used to be married to that. There's nobody on this call that wasn't at some time focused on how everything needed to look good. I mean, that's just normal. But as you grow spiritually and that starts to transform, this feminine leader is saying, not only do I not feel good about doing that, but in addition, it's the actual substance of these cushions that really needs to be made new, the structure of them. So now we have 4 minutes left. So that's the Cliff Notes version of how to work with an extremely advanced student, Chelsea. Chelsea, did we do okay for a little short intervention?
You did great. And the summary that I got from that dream was just really, I love that dream because it's very simple and it's about really big changes in terms of my core of my identity and how I'm coming and being in the world. So thanks.
Mm-hmm. And pillows are lovely accompaniments. They're really important. I mean, how would you like a bed with no pillow, a sofa with no pillow? I mean, it's important. Okay, so Chelsea, thank you for letting me work with you. Yeah. And Sophia, we'll turn it back to you.
Priscilla, do you have a question before I do closing assignment? I thought I saw your hand go up. Do you have a question? Let me unmute you. We cannot hear you. You're muted, Priscilla.
I was just going to ask about a recurrent dream I had as a child, but I think that will take a little bit more.
Let me say one thing about it very quickly. It's very important. Do you still have the dream, or you don't have it anymore? Okay. No. It would still be really fun for you to have a chance to figure out what that dream means. So the short version is a recurring dream is when the divine and our own soul are trying to get our attention about something that's very important. So we continue to dream it in different forms until we get it. So my guess is whatever you needed from that dream, you've already harvested it, because we can grow other ways, not just dreams. But I think you might really enjoy having an opportunity to mess around with what was that message at that time. So I think doing that with somebody like Sandy's dream group, or somebody like Chelsea if she had time, or some other, I can give you other names of people that could help you with the dream, but it would be probably very gratifying. My guess is you don't need the information or you'd still be having the dream, but you might enjoy having what it was about.
It'd be interesting.
It would be.
Yeah,
Thank-
that's what they say in our tradition too, Priscilla, that recurring dreams are the true dreams. Either they're telling us something to do or just giving us information which is needed for something in life. So as you all have seen, dreams is a complicated and a large topic, and we try to tackle some of it today, but it's not enough time. So we are offering a workshop on dreams on Wednesday, July 1st, which is 4 weeks from today. So those of you who are interested in continued teaching on dream, it will be a 90 minutes workshop on Wednesday at noon in place of this class on July 1st, Wednesday noon. There is one more workshop that I want to tell you about before we close, and I hope Susan can close us with a prayer. This coming Sunday, we are offering a workshop on silence. You should be able to see it on your screens, Experiencing Silence. Reverend Susan Sims-Smith and myself will be teaching about silence and different techniques on how to silence your mind and how to meditate. It is this coming Sunday at 1:45 p.m. If you would like to attend this workshop, it's free like most of our programming. If you want to attend it, you do have to register. Registration link, I have posted it in the chat. If you look at the right side of your screen in the chat feature, or if you go to the bottom and open up the chat, you will see this flyer and the link to register for this workshop. So a workshop on silence this coming Sunday and a workshop on dreams on July 1st. With that, we're almost finished with the time. Susan, would you close us with a prayer?
Yes.
And I'll see you all next week. Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, Holy One, we give you thanks that our dreams are deep and rich and filled with your spirit. May our daily lives reflect these blessings from you. Amen. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you for your time.
Fun.